Let me tell you something. I went face down the angry mob at Columbia at the height of that stuff. When the pro-Palestinian, pro-Hamas protesters were there. It was dangerous. I met with Jewish students before we went to campus who were holed away off campus because they were instructed by the administration not to come to class, which they paid for fear of their physical safety. Columbia and other universities, they have to keep control of campus. The first responsibility of an administration is ensuring the safety of the students who are paying tuition to be there, for crying out loud. This guy apparently was a mastermind of those very things when the gnashing of teeth and the ripping of clothes and the people screaming at me, wanting to rip me limb from limb because I was there talking about moral clarity and how there's a right and a wrong. If you are on a student visa and you're in America, and you're an aspiring young terrorist who wants to prey upon your Jewish classmates, you're going home.
In your estimation, what crime did Mahmoud Khalil commit to warrant his arrest, detention, and the potential revocation of his green card?
Let me tell you something. I went face down the angry mob at Columbia at the height of that stuff. When the pro-Palestinian, pro-Hamas protesters were there. I'm telling you, this is my own observation, not something I read in a newspaper. It was dangerous. I met with Jewish students before we went to campus who were holed away off campus because they were instructed by the administration not to come to class, which they paid for fear of their physical safety. The administrators there refused to take control of that campus. They refused to allow the PD to come, the police department to come in and take control, and it turned into a chaos. The president has since been removed, and now they got the same problem again. Columbia and other universities, they have to keep control of campus. The first responsibility of an administration is ensuring the safety of the students who are paying tuition to be there, for crying out loud. This madness has to stop. We have to get control of it. This guy apparently was a mastermind of those very things when the gnashing of teeth and the ripping of clothes and the people screaming at me, wanting to rip me limb from limb because I was there talking about moral clarity and how there's a right and a wrong. They were doing that. They disrupted the campus. They were threatening physical violence to their fellow students. If you're on a student visa, I'm going to say this clearly. If you are on a student visa and you're in America and you're an aspiring young terrorist who wants to prey upon your Jewish classmates, you're going home. We're going to arrest your tail, and we're going to send you home where you belong. And this is just getting started. So, look, I appreciate free speech. I used to defend it in courts, but this is far beyond the pale of that. When you are threatening your classmates and spewing anti-Semitism and all this hatred, it's enough. And I think the American people understand that. They're supporting it, and I'm glad we have a president who's strong enough to lay down the law. This is a moment of great change in Washington. It's also a moment of clarity and real contrast. The contrast was on display last week on the House floor. It was a shameful display by the Democrats. They are flailing, as is noted. They have no leader, no vision, no plan, no platform they can run on because that was repudiated in the election. And they're in a panic mode right now. And so you see them lashing out. You see increasing profanity. There are many stories, many of you have written about this new track they've taken, the new strategy where they just scream and shout and curse at everyone. I don't think that's going to be very productive either. And you also see the contrast going on this morning. They either have an issue with reading comprehension or they are attempting to run one of the most shameful misinformation campaigns that we've ever seen in our lives. We filed that the CR, the continuing resolution, on Saturday, and as was noted, they had already come out panning the bill that literally had not yet been seen. They said, quote, this is the House Democrat leadership team's statement on Friday. Remember, the bill was filed on Saturday afternoon. On Friday, they said, quote, Republicans have decided to introduce a partisan continuing resolution that threatens to cut funding for health care, nutritional assistance, and veterans benefits through the end of the year. Every single word of that is a lie. They just made it up. They didn't read the bill. It's nonsense. People are not buying this. And you see the contrast between one party, which is leading, moving the ball forward for the American people, and the other that is just screaming. Then the Democrats start parroting this talking point in interviews all weekend on CNN. They said, quote, it's so harmful to the American people. You know, cutting Medicaid, cutting Medicare, threatening Social Security, cutting veteran benefits. It's all a lie. You can all read the bills, 99 pages. This clean CR contains no poison pill riders, no policy riders there at all, no cuts to Medicare, Medicaid, or Social Security, zero, no cuts to veterans benefits, zero. In fact, as was noted, we plus up the accounts for veterans. And respectfully, I'm just going to say this to every reporter in the room, that if you're allowing Democrats to make these intentionally false, scurrilous claims without pushback, then you're aiding and abetting the spreading this misinformation. I would just ask you to call them on it. The American people deserve that. They deserve that clarity from our press corps. Make them point it out to you. They can't, of course. And now, after weeks of trotting federal workers up to Capitol Hill and onto cable news shows to protest President Trump's efforts to make the government more efficient, now they're planning to vote down this simple bill. They are going to try to shut the government down. Every House Democrat will participate in this, it looks like. That would be a shame if it's true. I hope some of them will have a moment of clarity themselves and do the right thing, but it looks like they're going to try to shut down the government. It's a striking new posture for Democrats who have always said they've just been apoplectic about the prospect of government shutdowns. I put a video out about an hour ago on social media. I encourage you to go see that. They have in their own words. You don't need to trust us on this. But Catherine Clark, here's one little zinger from her, quote, "Not only is it irresponsible and purposefully misleading, but it's also a dangerous precedent to be threatening a shutdown," unquote. Now remember, this is in last year, years past. Pramila Jayapal, quote, "The tragedy here is all the civilian employees. It's the employees who are going to suffer," unquote. AOC, quote, "It is not normal to hold 100,000 workers' paychecks hostage. It is not normal to shut down the government when we don't get what we want," unquote. I don't think I've ever agreed with her before. She's exactly right. Jerry Nadler said, quote, "Shutdown is really an extremist policy designed to appeal to an extremist base and hold the whole country hostage." Yeah, we agree. So they and all their colleagues need to do the right thing. Democrats have been insisting they're fighting for federal workers. You're about to see, again, on vivid display, very clear the contrast. You will see one team that is working to fund the government and make sure we do the responsible thing. And you're going to see another opposing the CR because they've now exposed the truth. They're not for federal workers. They're not for anyone. All the people they've said in the past that are going to be harmed would be by their votes. They're using federal employees as props. They're using Medicaid benefits and Social Security checks as cudgels in this thing. The threat of government shutdown, they're using it as some sort of attempt to wrestle power away from the President of the United States, who overwhelmingly won the popular vote, the Electoral College, in every single swing state. Here's the bottom line. If congressional Democrats refuse to support this clean CR, they will be responsible for every troop who misses a paycheck, for every flight delay from reduced staffing at TSA, for every negative consequence that comes from shutting down the government. I understand they have an important retreat this week. Boy, I'd love to be a fly on the wall at that party. It comes at a critical time since they don't have a leader, a message, or a platform. And I'm just going to say this. If our Democrat colleagues want to increase their 21% approval rating with the American public, they ought to start by doing the right thing and keeping the government open. I think that'd be a great first step. So I'll take questions. Chad.